You know, when you look at 20th century art, it can feel like, well, just a chaotic explosion of different styles, right? But what if I told you there's a hidden logic to all of it? Let's dive in.
What if it wasn't random at all? What if it was actually one single epic conflict, a battle fought between two ancient opposing forces for the very soul of art itself?
So on one side, you've got Apollo. He's the god of reason, of order, of that beautiful, rational dream state. And on the other side, Dionysus, the god of pure intoxication, ecstatic chaos, and primal, wild abandon. These two, they're the combatants in our story.
Now, this whole idea, this duality, it was famously explored by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. And believe me, it isn't just some dusty ancient history. It's actually an incredibly powerful lens for understanding the creative revolutions of the last century.
Okay, so before we see them in action, let's just get a really clear idea of what these two opposing principles are all about.
The Apollonian impulse. Well, you can think of the artist as a master architect. It's all about control, clarity, structure. Imagine the perfect, clean proportions of a classical sculpture, or the beautiful mathematical logic of a Bach fugue. That's Apollo. But then you have the Dionysian, and it's the total opposite. Here, the artist isn't an architect. They're a conduit for raw, primal energy. It's about completely losing control, embracing the chaos, and dissolving your individual self into a collective, ecstatic experience.
All right, let's see these forces collide. Our first battlefield is the theater, where one man tried to summon the full, absolutely terrifying power of Dionysus right onto the stage.
So this guy, Antonin Artaud, he looked at the theater of his time and he was just disgusted. He saw a stage obsessed with clever dialogue and psychological realism, what he sneeringly called masterpieces, and he felt it had absolutely nothing to do with the true, violent reality of life.
And his central metaphor here is wow. It's incredibly powerful. He actually compared his ideal theater to the plague. Now, not because he wanted it to be literally contagious, but because just like a plague, he believed it should rip society wide open and reveal the latent cruelty that's hiding at the heart of our existence.
So, what did he do? He threw out all the old tools. No more focusing on character psychology or witty dialogue. Nope. Instead, he demanded a brand new, physical language, a kind of poetry in space made of overwhelming light, sound, and gesture, with the audience trapped right in the middle of all the action.
And all of this served his ultimate, core Dionysian goal, depersonalization. Artaud literally wanted to annihilate the individual self. He wanted to dissolve both the actor and the spectator into a single, collective body, completely overwhelmed and forced to confront these mythic, primal truths together.
Okay, let's switch gears and move to our next battlefield, music. Because here, the conflict became even more explicit. You actually had composers consciously wrestling with these two powerful forces.
I mean, just listen to Igor Stravinsky. He straight up said that the wild, Dionysian elements that spark our imagination, well, they have to be controlled. They must be subjugated and forced to submit to the law of Apollonian order and form. For him, real art demanded the artist's full consciousness, not a loss of self.
But you know, maybe the most perfect musical dramatization of this entire conflict is Arnold Schoenberg's unfinished masterpiece, the opera Moses und Aaron. Seriously, the whole story is a battle between these two forces, embodied by the two main characters.
So on one side, you have Moses. He is pure Apollo. He represents this abstract idea of God, so abstract that he can only speak. He can't even sing. And his sound is the low brass, the tuba, the trombone. Then, on the other side, you have Aaron, the Dionysian. He's the one who translates Moses' big ideas into beautiful images and emotions that people can actually understand. He sings these gorgeous, lyrical melodies backed by violins and flutes. The entire opera is this tragic, unresolvable conflict between the pure idea and the beautiful, but maybe corrupting, image.
So you have Artaud versus Stravinsky, chaos versus order. But here's the thing. It's not just a simple choice between one or the other. In fact, thinking about these two forces gives us a powerful new map to understand the entire landscape of modernism.
Check this out. The crucial point is right here in this grid. You can actually map artists on two axes, Apollonian versus Dionysian and tradition versus innovation. So an Apollonian traditionalist like Sibelius creates these really tight tonal works, but an Apollonian innovator like Webern uses that exact same drive for order to create highly structured but atonal music. See how that works? A Dionysian traditionalist might be looser but still tonal, while an innovator goes full-blown modernist expressionist. It's a spectrum, not just an on-off switch.
At the end of the day, what this framework shows us is that 20th century art wasn't just a random series of isms. It was a coherent, dynamic struggle, a constant push and pull between that deep desire for ecstatic release and the fundamental need for rational form.
And that's really the big takeaway. This battle between Apollo and Dionysus, it never actually stops. That tension between the clean, ordered structure and the messy, chaotic impulse, between the individual artist and the collective experience. So my question for you is, where do you see this eternal conflict playing out right now in the art, the music, or even the culture being made today?